To remain updated with the latest business news, click on the bell icon.
Well, effective 1st Jan 2022, your debit card and credit card bank details saved on merchant website and apps will get deleted by merchants. And as per the RBI mandate, this is the new enhanced card security system where the concept of tokenization will be implied. Now, this move by RBI towards a card tokenization is likely to also hit a wide range of merchants, companies from e-commerce, and primarily the consumers and individuals. To understand more on this, I'm joined by Siju Kuruvilla George, who heads the New Delhi-based think tank Alliance of Digital India Foundation, which represents the Indian startups. Thank you, Mr. George, for joining us on this conversation. First question, and the crux of it is, what is tokenization?
Sure. So tokenization is essentially replacing your existing cards. When you transact on websites, you typically are asked to store your card so that you can do future payments at a much more easier manner. So when future payments happens, you only need to enter your CVV details and the OTP to authorize a transaction. Once tokenization comes into picture, merchants will not be allowed to actually store your card information. Instead of that, merchants will be given a 16-digit alternate token number, which will replace the saved information at the merchant end. So the benefit is that is the way the technology sort of works. So the benefit here is the fact that the probability of fraud or probability of your consumer, your card getting, card number getting lost is a lot lesser. So even if a breach happens at one merchant site, what happens is your card number is actually protected from being revealed. That's how tokenization works. And that's the simplest way to understand what tokenization is.
Right, and understanding that this is going to impact the digital payments, tell us, for a consumer, is it only merely going to be replacement of card with a token, or is it going to be beyond that?
So for a consumer, it actually is going to be beyond that from the larger scheme of things. But from an ease of use perspective, the consumer won't really feel any difference in the way the process happens for a consumer. The word tokenization may not be familiar for the consumer, but as far as the user experience or the consumer flow goes, the process is pretty much the same, where you enter your card details once, right, and authorize it. Just that when you opt in for tokenization, in the previous scenario, the merchants used to store your card details. In this particular scenario, the merchants actually store only the token which is issued by the bank or the issuing agency, right? So essentially, from a workflow perspective for a consumer, it works exactly the same. Where it's different for the consumer, and which actually more than just a token being saved, the token being generated for each merchant will be different, right? So one of the ways in which it will, in the long run, impact consumers very positively is that even if you want to cancel a particular subscription or a transaction, right, or an authorization with a particular merchant, it becomes far easier for a consumer to do it at the bank end to revoke an authorization given to a particular merchant. In the earlier scenario, if I had to revoke authorization, either I have to coordinate with the merchant, follow up with them and get that thing done. Because if I reach out to the bank, it's pretty much not easy. The alternate would be for me to cancel my card altogether so that all my authorization of the card gets revoked. So in the larger scheme of things, in the long run, this also will benefit consumers, not just from the aspect of better safety, but also from the aspect of better control over their authorizations and security as well.
Example that I use, of course, I use a credit card and a debit card, and I have it on my e-commerce websites on Zomato, Swiggy, and now I go through the process of tokenization as mandated by RBI. So each time that I do a payment, do I have to register the token details, or at least that gets automatically saved?
So currently the way the system is implemented, RBI has mandated that every online transaction, every payment processor has to shift to tokenization, right? So as a consumer, if you don't opt in for tokenization, right, you will have to probably keep entering your card details again and again and again, and for every transaction, right? But if you do opt in for tokenization, it will be similar, right? In the earlier scenario, when you make a single transaction, you will be asked to fill a checkbox. Hey, do you want to save it for future payments? In a similar manner, this time around, instead of actually saving card details, you'll be asked, are you allowing for tokenization, opting in for tokenization, right? In the interim, where the consumers will face some amount of challenges, your existing authorizations, all of them will actually get revoked with the implementation of this particular timeline and deadline on January 1st, as per the present deadline. So even those authorizations that you're given so far, be it your Zomato, be it your Swiggy, whatever it may be, you will have to actually authorize it once more. And this time when you authorize it, if you are comfortable and if you opt in for tokenization, you won't have to key in your card detail again and again. In fact, as we speak, consumers might have even started receiving SMSs from either banks or their service providers, asking them to reauthorize from a tokenization standpoint.
Right. But in the world of digital innovation, and that we've always been talking about Digital India, why this digital stress for the consumers? What are the reasons that RBI had to do this? The data security, of course, we understand, but is that all?
So, see, digital stress, what you mentioned is a good point, Karishma. And I think as a country, we have progressed very far in terms of, let's say, making sure consumers are comfortable or trusting online secure transactions more. So this move by RBI, if you look at the larger scheme of things, is very much in alignment with the vision of a digital India itself, right? Given that the online transactions are actually going up a lot, and the pandemic-infused reality also increase the share of online transactions as offline transactions as well. In such a scenario, there was a concern of increasing amount of, let's say, data breaches, leakage, or frauds happening. And that is the reason why RBI has taken this proactive step in terms of moving into a tokenization regime, right? So to that extent, if you look at so people agree that this could be a better technology to account for frauds and data loss or data breaches, which in the long run will actually put more trust in online banking systems. So this is perfectly in line with the Digital India vision. What is also interesting and what is also very, very important is that this also signals a shift in the foundational architecture of how payments work, right? Which will actually throw open a lot more avenues for innovations and more innovative features on top of the new ecosystem. So done well, this could unleash a new wave of innovations in the payment space as well. So if you take all these factors combined, it actually is very much in alignment with the Digital India vision of bringing a lot more people into the digital world of transactions also. One particular point, again, I would want to highlight, until this particular time, this is again more technical from industry standpoint, from an earlier scenario where card on file, where the cards are saved by the merchant, it did not fall under the ambit of RBI regulations or RBI compliance. So with tokenization, what is also happening is the banks or the payment aggregators are the custodians of making sure the tokens are issued, which also brings them under RBI regulation. So in the instance of breaches and such instances, RBI also had the power to step in and intervene. So that is another aspect if you want to understand from the larger context of where RBI also comes from.
But if I see it from an e-commerce perspective and the kind of, balances that it draws in terms of the companies that are involved, especially the small and the mid-sized merchants, it's going to be a difficult task for them to get this covered. It's more like a new payment method for the consumers, and that could take longer. So in terms of percentage also, if you could give us an idea, what is the kind of impact and risks will it have on revenues and sales?
Sure. So absolutely, Karishma, I think you make a very valid point also in terms of risk, right? Now, what we also have to understand is that this tokenization shift is a very big industry-wide shift, right? As you rightly said, it's an entire different ecosystem in terms of how payments used to operate and payments going to operate going forward. And there are various parts of the value chain. There is a bank, there are payment aggregators, and then there are merchants, right? Not just the e-commerce, every merchant will be impacted by the shift in these guidelines. Now, if you break it down, any change will incur a lot of technical effort on the part of various merchants. not just technical, even retraining their entire customer service staff and the efforts to even reauthorize the customers. So as it is, merchants have a lot of effort to be undertaken on their part for ensuring business continuity in the new regime. What makes this even more risky is the fact that the concerns around the level of preparedness of the intermediary stages of implementation. So if you look at the whole guideline and the amount of clarifications that, sub-clarifications came in, the amount of time that was available for merchants after banks were ready was reasonably small. And to this date, there are concerns whether all banks are fully ready with their solutions as well. So given which, merchants will incur a loss of revenue anywhere in the tune of, let's say, 20% to 40%, depending on the level of, let's say, preparedness they're facing. Now, even if the technology risks are fully taken care of and the transition is going to happen very smoothly from a technology standpoint, even then, in this present way the guideline is implemented, consumers have to opt in for the tokenization once more all over again. And the deadline falls on a December 31st, Jan 1st sort of a timeline, which is typically also holiday year, right? So in that particular scenario, even if technology transition works perfectly well, it is reasonable to expect that a lot of consumers would take a lot more time to actually opt into the tokenization regime. All the more so, given that this is a new term and a new technology. So the consumers will also take and want its own time to understand why this is happening to make a transition, right? And consumers at this point in time, right, they are not allowed an option to actually say that, hey, I can wait to understand about tokenization before I move from card on file to tokenization system. The consumers are only given a choice of either having to keep re-entering the card all over again for every transaction or switch to tokenization, right? Now, this is not an ideal scenario to make a transition because the consumer awareness part is going to be a big risk for the merchants from the revenue standpoint also. And if the consumers are not aware and they decide to key in their card again and again, it's a huge inconvenience for the consumer. So in a way, it's also arm twisting the consumer to adopt a new technology, which, if educated well, actually is a far, far better solution from a safety and security standpoint, and also keeping in mind the consumer safety as well. So the other risk, even from the Digital India framing, if we don't manage the transition and the consumer education well, the bigger risk for a country as a whole is the fact that the gains that we made on the Digital India front of moving to digital transactions, we might end up undoing that because consumers might decide to shift to, let's say, cash payments, right? Cash on delivery or other modes of payments, right? And if you look at certain segments of the society, let's say if it's more of an elderly people, right? If it's more, let's say, tier 2, tier 3 cities who might be more at risk when it comes to understanding technology and developing trust and comfort, this could be a reality that we run into from a risk perspective also. So consumers do face a risk of revenue loss on account of lack of consumer awareness and on account of not enough preparedness being there in the ecosystem. And depending on that, it could be 20 to 40%. And some of the smaller players, actually, as you rightly said, who do not have the luxury of a lot of cash flow, and everything, some of them might even be pushed out of business if you're looking at an impact of 20 to 40% hit on the revenues. Content publishers and those kinds of discretionary services will be at more risk. Some of the more compelling services might be better protected, but e-commerce will take a likely hit because a lot of e-commerce is linked to, and there are a lot of studies to also augment that claim, that its own ease of payment, one-click payment actually affects a lot of buying behavior. And in the lack of it, e-commerce players also stands to lose a lot of revenue in the holiday season.
Got it. One last question, Sijo, and this is there's a probable extension that's being talked about that IBA and merchants and bankers have requested RBI to push the tokenization deadline. Now, will an extension help?
So absolutely at this point in time, Karishma. So even us as ADIF, back in September itself, we had written to the RBI requesting for an extension. Even right now, as on today, we also have written, and a lot of other organizations also have written to RBI seeking an extension. Now, the extension will absolutely help on multiple counts. At a very simple level, we have to understand the fact that the time available for merchants and the entire ecosystem to shift to this new paradigm was very limited, right? Which itself is grounds for seeking extension, saying that, hey, give merchants more time to be ready, right? The second part of it is also the fact that we did speak about the consumer part. So I'm just going to focus more on the merchant side of things, right? Even if you look at the time that is available was very short, right? There is an allied ecosystem on top of what do you call it? The card network. So if you go to typically your stores, you will sometimes see the retailer or the POS machine person entering the last 4 digits of your card, right? The reason why that happens is that is how your loyalty programs and benefit programs on the card is actually put together. And all of it is linked to actually the way the card number works. So when you replace that with a new technology, right, you need new process flows, new innovation to come out with solutions, right? In a short timeline, all these benefits will break, all these process flows will break, which results in losses for the consumer as well, because all your benefit programs goes to lapse. But given a longer time for the merchants and the players, that also creates a perfect fertile ground for innovations to thrive and actually new solutions on top of this new infrastructure. And some of these solutions, Indian startups and Indian companies could even take it global. So it presents a beautiful opportunity if done well. Again, given the time frame, we need a slightly longer period. But more critically, at this point in time, if you also have been observing and speaking to a lot of ecosystem players, there are genuine concerns around the readiness of the banking infrastructure and the intermediary infrastructure in terms of making a full transition, right? With all these aspects, if you take in mind, I think there is definitely a case for pushing the deadline, or even looking at a slightly alternate way of looking at it, even having a phased deadline. Since I mentioned that there are intermediary phases, right? The banks has to be ready, then the merchants has to integrate, then the consumers have to opt in. So even a phased out timeline of implementation might be more advantageous for a full switch to the regime is where we come from. So absolutely, yes, both from a realization of the Digital India potential and the potential of the switch, and to also make sure that the consumers and the merchants are also protected well, there absolutely is a case for looking at a revised timeline and deadline for implementation. And that also has been our submission to RBI as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. George, for your time and for this interview. Of course, while the country awaits for an official update on this new kind of, I'd say, a new aspect of technology that the government is looking to implement in the country. Thank you very much for joining us on Business Today TV.
Thanks a lot, Karishma.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share, and subscribe.